Is 12-year-old me proud of who I am right now? That is a question I ask myself on an uncomfortably regular basis. And honestly, I fear your reaction to that reality, but it's true. You see, when I was around that age, I was in the perfect spot to do some big thinking. Developmentally, I think my brain had just barely gotten fast enough to start thinking duplicitously. I don't actually know if I know the meaning of that word, but I'm almost completely certain that 12-year-old me knows the meaning of that word. It really was just perfect timing. I had emotionally and cognitively developed just enough to start asking big questions about life, my purpose in the world, and what role others would play for me. I'm not sure whether other people had this experience. Maybe it was just me. I was a little punk, whether I knew it or not. I internalized all the mistreatment I had faced, as did others. Adults sucked, and it was only a matter of time until I was one too, and I was so scared of that. I mean, I still am. Mini-me wanted to know with absolute certainty that I would do and be better than the adults that made me feel the way I did at that time. It's like I was just realizing that I could actually think about what I think about, you know? It's like I was exactly developed enough to be aware and start thinking about my own thoughts. Metacognition. Awareness or analysis of one's own learning or thinking processes. It's the capacity to reflect on one's own pattern of thoughts and habits of mind. 12-year-old me was able to do that kind of thinking, and just before hormones in high school would wreck our peace of mind, I realized then that ultimately what I wanted in life was to be free. 12-year-old me asked a 25-year-old me to never let anyone control us, to pursue what I wanted and never fall under the command of anyone or thing that wasn't me. It was never these exact words, but I think that kid wanted to be proud of who we would become and made a commitment to pursue that, whether to spite the adults that I resented or maybe just in fear of what I might become if I wasn't careful. It's been well over a decade since then, and that little asshole still haunts me, and I cannot be any more grateful. That was a time before I made so many mistakes. That kid was unfazed and unburdened by trauma and consequence. I want nothing more than to be someone that kid won't regret being. At the most difficult times of my life, I still refer back to whatever it was he was on about at that time. Independence, self-determination, righteousness. Whether I knew the words or not, it was what I wanted and prioritized above all else because I was old enough to make mistakes. It was like I was free from the pressure of social constructs. Identity, wealth, power, progress, status, love, hate, my mistakes. Anthropology has always interested me. Like any other self-respecting primate, I seek to make connections between what was and what is. Stories are a powerful, possibly even human thing. In many stories, there exists a golden bow, a red string, or a holy tree tying everything together. At one end of that string is the wise old man, an archetype found all throughout our stories. Nestor in the Iliad, Athena in the Odyssey, Gandalf, Yoda, Iroh, Socrates, Diogenes, Abraham, Moses, Solomon, Krishna. Our stories are wrought with depictions of characters, divine or otherwise, that are endowed and emboldened by and with wisdom, a capacity to cut through the noise of entropy and causality in pursuit of meaning, subjective, objective, irrelevant. But life isn't a story. It's an experience. Nobody is a hero, and this isn't being written. We are not guaranteed the counsel of these fictitious people. We scream into the void and at most hear an echo. And that echo is you. In one way or another, we already have everything we need. You are and can be your own wise man. What's popular is this belief that life is progressive, and many things come with its progression. But wisdom and insight can come to us at any time. And more than anyone, it is best that we believe in ourselves. My situation is probably unusual, but what about you? Are you proud of who you are? Of what you have done? of who you have become? You feel it? That yearning, that need to be what you are. Despite how far off it seems, there was once a time when we saw the world more clearly, and there may be a time again. The point is that while you can seek questions from others and search for them, the only wise man that will ever answer them is you. Rather than even just killing your heroes, become them. That isn't to say that role models don't exist, though. I got lucky with some positive influences at key periods of my life, but all those people set out not to inspire me, but to inspire themselves into being people that would inspire others. Even as you realize that I am speaking alone in a room somewhere, I do this not hoping that I myself can inspire you, but instead that I can remind you of yourself. Don't believe in me, believe in you. So, what do we do? Honestly, that's a great question. I mean, I wrote it in the script under the assumption that you might be concerned with what I am saying, and yeah, that's fair. It is pretty concerning, maybe even somewhat solipsistic, honestly, which is a word I do actually know now at 25. Take that, 12-year-old me. We don't exist in a vacuum. Your choices, your actions, and how they connect with the other may drive and dictate almost everything you do in life. You can and should seek your own wisdom by pursuing an understanding of others. The death of the wise old man, that is the realization of his unreality, calls us not to give up, but instead to build together. Surround yourself with the greatest diversity of others that you have access to, and grow together. I attribute much of my capacity for growth to my sisters and my mother. I grew up in a place where the perspectives of others were unavoidable, and that both hardened and softened me. It made me more flexible. The worst thing we can do is decide that just because there are no real fictitious wise old men outside ourselves, that we actually know everything. And that's just not the meaning of the term. You don't know everything, wise or not. And realizing that is the first step towards knowing anything. Instead, your own internal capacity for wisdom is regarded only by yourself and how you act, react, and respond to the world around you. That is your only isolation, both debilitating and liberating the self. It's all the more reason to form connections and make sense of everything in pursuit of showing ourselves the respect we once believed and may continue to feel we deserve. So maybe it isn't even entirely right to say that the enlightened sage is dead, but instead that they live only and entirely within ourselves and so manifest in our stories. And I hope yours may manifest in you. Maybe they already did, and all we have to do is listen.